Hi friends, and thanks so much for being here. I'm Anna Helman. In this video, I want to talk a little bit about mass producing cards. Now, we're not mass producing a bunch of the exact same cards. These are all going to be different and unique cards. But throughout this, I'm going to be sharing tips and tricks for saving a little time, making things a little bit easier and a little bit more enjoyable for you when you need to make up a stack of cards for your collection. The longer I make cards, the more I discover tips and tricks that just really help out and make things, like I said, easier and more fun. So in this video, I want to share some of those with you. We're going to make some beautiful cards. I hope you will watch along. The main attraction on these cards we are going to make together will be these amazing butterflies. I love this big butterfly stamp, and I decided to use this because it is a great way to be able to get 6 butterflies using basically the same, doing basically the same work as if I was just stamping a single one. This is called the Butterfly Brilliant Stamp Set. It is just this one large single stamp though. So what I want to do, I have this mounted in my stamp apparatus. It is a fantastic tool for using a lot of different ways. And if you watch along with my videos, you see me use it often and share tips and tricks for how to get even more use out of it. So what I am going to do is ink this first with some gorgeous grape ink. I have some fresh Freesia cardstock in my stamp apparatus, and it looks like I got a great image that time. Now what I want to do, like I said, even though I'm talking about making several cards at once, this is not a factory, and we want our cards to be one of a kind and really special for the people that we share them with. So what I am going to do, I want to make these really unique. I have my Starry Sky ink pad and a sponge dauber, and I'm going to add a little bit of color in the centers of each of these butterflies. So I'm attempting to dab on the color a little bit darker, a little bit more solid right in the center, and then as I move out on the wings, I am lightening up a little bit. So we should get a nice blend with the darker blue there in the center, and then it blending lighter as it moves outward on the wings. So I'll do all 6 of these. Now we can go ahead and stamp again. This is one of the amazing benefits of this tool. You can stamp in the exact same spot a second time if you don't stamp correctly the first time, or if you want to do a technique like this. Now I want that to be a little bit more noticeable. I'm going to go over this one more time quickly. And what we're going to do next, one of the other things I love about the set is I have one single die that is going to cut all of these out. So we'll get these done one more time. Let's stamp quickly. And now let's go ahead and cut these out. So bring my die cutting machine in. Now here's another trick to save some time. If you watch along with other videos I've made like this one, a lot of times I share tips for getting more die cuts out of each time you crank something through your machine. So what I'm going to do, I am layering 2 pieces of cardstock. I do this often. If your machine is very tight, you may not be able to do this, but with a lot of machines, with several machines I have used, I am able to crank 2 pieces through without a problem. Now the die set that comes with this is absolutely beautiful. We have this one large die we are going to use to cut this out. Also has some of the more detailed individual butterflies that we will not be using on this project, but I'm going to line this up with that stamped image. We're going to crank it through there, and another little note about cutting through 2 layers at once. If you have detailed dies, you're typically not going to get as good of a result as you will with large open dies such as this one. Now typically I get a perfect cut my first time through, but since I'm cutting through 2 layers, and one of them is that really thick shimmer paper, I am going to crank it back just to make sure we got it cut really nice. And now it looks like it's cut well. They're all falling out. So let's separate these and we will have them ready for our cards once we get them, get the other pieces assembled. Next, we're going to work on the background pieces for our cards. Can you see how much those shimmer? These are going to be just fantastic on these cards. Okay, so we have these all ready. Now, like I said, let's work on those backgrounds a little bit. So what we're going to do first is do a little bit of blending. I want to show you a technique that I have discovered that you can prep some backgrounds for your cards in a little bit easier way than if you're going to do all of them individually. So we're going to use a blending brush. I have my gorgeous grape ink here again. Blending brush. And this may not make sense right now, but it should in a few minutes. So what I'm going to do is blend just a little bit of color on the corners. We'll do each of the corners, and then we're going to do some in the center as well. So you will see where this is, and you may know that you may figure out where this is headed here, but what I'm going to do is do all this blending on this piece. Then we are going to cut these into smaller sections, and each one will be for one card. So I'll do this fourth corner, then we'll do a little bit in the center. If I want to get the smoothest blending effect possible, I need to slow down a little bit and do that. But I'm getting a few brush marks here, which once we get all these put together, I'm going to do some spritzing over this. This will not be the final effect of what we're doing with the backgrounds of these cards. So you will get to see here in a minute where we're headed, and I think these will look nice when they come together. Now, this is a half sheet. I'm making 6 cards, so I only needed 1.5 sheets. So pretend this was a full sheet. I'm going to do the exact same thing I just did on that full sheet. I'm just doing half of it. So now that we have these blended, let's go ahead and cut them into pieces. Now, when you cut card mats for your cards, you may have a certain size that is your favorite. Kind of the standard that is very common that a lot of card makers use is 4 inches by 5.25. Leaves a nice border showing from your card base. Sometimes I cut mine like 4 inches by 5.5. That just leaves a border along the sides. For this one, I am going to do 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, which is going to leave just a little tiny border. Just a little tiny border along the outside of the cards. This is one I like to do often just because it just leaves that little touch of color along the outside, but it doesn't take away from the focal point of whatever you're creating. So we'll cut this one down to 4 1/8. We'll cut this one to 4 1/8. Now, if you enjoy, if you are looking forward to this, if you're enjoying this so far, if you would like to see some of my other videos about mass producing cards, and some of them I share some tips for cutting cardstock quicker. I have several of these videos and lots of different tips and tricks. So I will put some links in the video description below to some of those other videos, where you can pick up a lot of things that I will not be mentioning in this one in particular. The next thing we'll do here with these pieces is kind of fun. It's a little bit different. Sometimes it can get a little messy, but if you put down a nice covering on your work surface, it doesn't have to be messy at all. But it's a great way to make a lot of backgrounds in a short amount of time. So what I'm going to do is lay one of my pieces down here. I'm going to lay my overlay piece here. It is from the Artistic Mix Decorative Masks or Stencil Set. And you can put some adhesive on the back of these if you want to, just to save a little bit of time. A lot of times I don't, but I have to keep in mind that if this is not stuck directly to my card, sometimes I'm not going to get a perfect image if it's like laying up above a little bit. I have a spritzer here. I filled it with rubbing alcohol. You can fill it with water if you want. I prefer rubbing alcohol because it dries a little bit faster. It doesn't cause warping quite like we get sometimes with using just water. So as you're going to see as I go through here, this is just a really quick and easy way to get some neat backgrounds. Now I think I'm going to do different spritzing patterns on different backgrounds so you can see as I go through here. I may do just the corners on some. I may do, let's just do along one edge. And what you'll see, what you'll figure out if you try spritzing or if you've done it before, you know that sometimes your spritzes don't end up exactly where you're directing them. Sometimes they go off a little more to one direction than you were intending. So you can attempt to direct them at a certain place. They may not always end up where you're intending. So we have two more of these, and depending on the colors you choose, the mask you choose, you can even do like one mask and then choose another mask and spritz over it, either with the same color or you can choose a new color. There's really some neat effects you can create by using this technique. Last but not least, I don't know what that pattern is. I guess it's diagonally through the center, okay? So now we have our backgrounds created. Next, let's bring that Stamparatus back in. I want to show you another neat way you can use it. And now we're creating our greetings. So I wanted to come up with a way I could share with you where a way you can create several greetings quickly. So what I've done here, one of the benefits of the Stamparatus, I love that it has two plates. So you can have one stamp mounted over here and stamp, and then if you have a two-step set, you can have the other one mounted up here, stamp with it with another color. It's fantastic. So what I have a piece of 4x6 paper, and I have my 6 greetings up here lined up. Now I'll show you when I was laying these on the base of my platform, deciding where to line them up, I was using the grid in the background as my guideline. So right here is the first darker line for the 1-inch mark. I centered my first greeting in that 1-inch section. For this one, I will be down here in this last section. I'll center it down here where you can see it. And the 6th inch mark. So I lined all of them up, rotated this down to pick them up. This is all ready now. Now I can ink this up. I'm going to use my gorgeous grape ink. These greetings are from a set called Lovely You. It's a beautiful set with mostly greetings. It does have some nice little motif stamps in it as well. I'll show it to you real quick here, but just some really beautiful fonts and nice greetings for a lot of different occasions. So I'm inking this up. Let's do it one more time just to be sure. Rotate this down, give it a good press. and we have our greetings stamped nicely. So the way I planned this is so that I could bring it into my trimmer, cut 1-inch strips that will be ready for each card. So this is something, setting up greetings like that on your stamp apparatus. Now, if you want the exact same greeting for all of your cards, this definitely doesn't work. But in a lot of cases, we want different greetings, right? Or you can use different greetings even for the same occasion if you're sending out, even like for Christmas. That's a perfect example for when you're making a lot of cards. You could use different greetings, line them up this way, cut them apart, and this is just a really quick and easy way to have your greetings ready. Okay, now we have our greetings ready, and I believe all of our pieces are ready. I did prepare the card bases before we started. These are gorgeous grape, and here are the background pieces I want to put on the fronts. So when I'm making several cards, typically I like to have my workspace as clear as possible so that I can lay everything out in large quantities. Now you can just see a little bit of my workspace here. So I'll try to keep working here where you can see me. But I like to lay things out like this because once I get going with my adhesive, this just makes it so much faster. So sometimes I use my tape, sometimes I use glue. It's kind of personal preference. Sometimes I think glue is a little bit faster. If you have a hard time lining things up straight, glue can really be helpful because it gives you a little bit of wiggle room. So with this narrow border we're going to have around the edge of this card, for some of you, glue may work a little bit better. The way I line mine up so that I don't stick it down too soon, if you can, I don't know if you can see this. Right now I'm just barely pressing on the left side of my mat here. I can see that the border over here all looks good. I am going to press this down just enough to be able to see what the border is going to look like. And I can see it is going to be basically even all the way around. I do all of that before I give it that last press to actually hold everything in place. So you'll see as I'm doing these, the blending, some of them, this one's in the top left and bottom right corner, this one's in the top right, bottom left. We're going to end up with all sorts of different backgrounds, and I like that. That's the way I wanted this to be. And when we get done, it looks like I cut this one wrong. Wrong width, do you ever do that? They will definitely turn out one of a kind because our butterflies are different. So I thought that would be perfect to end up with 6 butterflies. They're all different. And okay, I got this 6th one cut to the right size and put on. Now from here, these cards are going to come together so quickly. Let me lay out these strips. We'll put the greetings on. We will get the butterflies prepped and ready, and you'll get to see how these come together. I was really excited about using this butterfly set, and I've been debating whether I want to put them on. You'll see here in just a second whether I want to put the butterflies on flat and actually have them laying flat against the card, or what I like to do a lot of times with butterflies is pop them up a little bit and make their wings look like they're flying. So stick around, we will be there in just a second. We'll get these greetings put on now. If you wanted to, you could bump the greetings up and down, put some of them at the top. You could make some of your cards horizontally. I am going to stick with keeping all of my greetings right here in the same spot, but you could definitely change that up. Next, I want the background layer for my butterflies, this beautiful shimmery, it's called fine shimmer paper. I think I've been using it on like all of my projects. If you follow along with my videos, you are seeing this paper in quite a few of them because I love it. This time, I don't know why, I just decided to use glue. Like I said, sometimes I think glue's a little bit faster. And I am going to put one of these on. Now, what my idea is for these is I'll put the background piece on, and then this is not the right butterfly that matches up with it, but I'll have the right butterfly and kind of make like a little shadow. So you'll see some of that shimmery popping out behind. So I want to leave enough space between this and the greeting to allow for offsetting my top butterfly from where this one is a little bit. Put that one there. Butterflies are just such a neat thing to add on cards, and they're perfect for so many different occasions. They're good for kids cards, they're good for sympathy, they are good for wedding. I mean, pretty much everything, right? Maybe not necessarily for men's cards, but you know, that's why we have some of those manly stamp sets we can use. Now, here are my stamped butterflies that we have prepped and ready. And what I'm going to do with these, you can, when you create cards, you may have a preference if you like to keep your cards totally flat. What I'm going to do with these is actually put one or a couple of dimensionals in the centers of them. And then I'm going to fold the wings up just a little bit. So this is one of my tips for making life easier with your dimensionals, is to use, this is my take your pick tool. I use it for, I feel like almost everything in my craft room. I can pick up a dimensional, and then when I lift up, if I'm careful, I can actually pull that paper backing off. Now this one is, there we go, I got it that time. So all in one motion, I can put the dimensional on, lift that paper backing off, and keep going and do some more. This is really helpful if you have problems with your hands, or if your hands don't like small detailed things. This is really great. So the bigger butterflies, I'll put 2 dimensionals on. The smaller ones, I am putting 1. My hand is trying to get stuck in all of this. I'm sure that happens to you sometimes as well. And let's get these put together and finished up. So these 2 small butterflies, for a second I thought they were identical, but they are not. And I debated at first, you know, are these little butterflies going to be enough to be featured on an entire card? That the big ones take up plenty of space. The smaller ones obviously don't take up as much. But I decided, you know what, I think even those little ones are going to be perfect. So let's get these other 3 put on, and then let's pop up the wings, and we're going to do one more thing to add a nice finishing touch to these cards. I just love this. These big ones, I love the big ones, but I think the small ones are neat too. They're a little bit more understated than the big ones. So here I am just folding those wings up. Now, if you put this in an envelope, of course, they will get pushed back down, but when it comes back out, they will likely pop up just a little bit on their own from folding them up like this. So last but not least, I love to put some gems or some sparkle on my cards. I don't always like having things that pop up because that can make it difficult to mail. But here are some really nice sequins. They have adhesive on the back, which makes them really easy to apply. I don't really have to think about it. I don't have to mess with glue and end up with glue all over my fingers. I just can stick them wherever I want and finish off these lovely cards. So thanks so much for watching along. I hope you learned a couple of things in this video. Like I mentioned, I'm going to link to some of my other videos where I do lots of cards and share tips for saving time while doing so. So I hope you'll take a look at some of those down in the video description below. If you're interested in any of the products I used, I will have links to them down there as well. If you shop with me, you will receive a personal thank you, as well as my Stampin' Rewards. I have a Stampin' Rewards program where you can earn free stamps from me. Please contact me with questions. Give me a comment down below, a thumbs up, which will help other stampers find me as well. And I hope you have a blessed day. I hope you'll be back again next time when I'll be here helping you to hand make with love.